Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Black Ops 6. I won't lie to you guys, this is kind of an annoying video to make because over the course of the past month, we've seen what looks to be the downfall of the Call of Duty franchise. Everything from 40% of the player base quitting, Activision issuing apologies and lies about their anti-cheat, major content creators and pro players moving on from the game and covering other things. The list goes on and on. The event's not working. Like, COD itself quite clearly is down bad from the perspective of people who actually play the game, but also the perspective of people who just pay attention to all the external factors. Well, today, ever so conveniently, we got some news that kind of points us in the opposite direction, claiming that Call of Duty is killing it. They're doing so well, they're even beating Fortnite. It's the best game ever, guys. Go buy shares in our company because it's doing amazing. It is all a bunch of nonsense, but let's get into it here. This news is coming in from Circana, which is a market research company that tracks video games, among other things, and according to them and their internal tracking and however it is they obtain their numbers, they've been around for a while, so I think they're pretty credible. They claim that Call of Duty was actually the #1 played console game during the week of December 14th up until December 21st. This is for both Xbox and PlayStation, but one important note is this was during the Black Ops 6 free trial week, coincidentally enough. This means that Call of Duty, which encompasses Black Ops 6, which at the time was free, Warzone, which is always free, Modern Warfare 3 and Modern Warfare 2 combined, made Call of Duty the #1 console title that week. So of course, Call of Duty is back. Call of Duty is huge, and it's definitely not bleeding players, right? Right? I mean, it's definitely doing good? No, absolutely not. Like, stuff like this will come out and it paints this picture that COD is doing amazing, but all it really does is muddy the waters and shift the narrative away from the game's laundry list of problems and makes it seem like everything is okay. I will admit, it does look good to see Call of Duty at the #1 spot for console, ahead of Fortnite even, but it's important to remember that this was during the free week with the game already being on Game Pass, with the game being 20% off on every platform all around the world. They're basically giving the game away at CostCo. If you're on Xbox and you don't own Black Ops 6, they're literally giving you gift cards as well as 40 hours of double XP to buy the game at a discounted rate. They're doing everything they can to get people to try to play Black Ops 6 right now. And do you think they would be doing that if the game was actually doing well? These numbers were absolutely inflated and they would not last, which further goes to show that people are giving Black Ops 6 a chance. They want to like COD, but they don't stick to it and they quit for one reason or another. If we look at Xbox right now, today, Call of Duty, which again is Black Ops 6, Warzone, Modern Warfare 3, and Modern Warfare 2, that's now #2 behind Fortnite, and on PlayStation, it's #3. On Steam, it's barely even in the top 10, and going back to the Circana image here, even during this week, Call of Duty was #6 on Steam, which is mind-blowing, dude. Like, #6 when it's lost 40% of its players. That is a huge problem. Like, I am no industry analyst or anything like that, but if Call of Duty can literally lose 40% of its players and still be #5, #6 on Steam during a given week, that seems to indicate that tons of people want to play COD. The game does well from a marketing perspective. People want to try the new Black Ops with the zombies and Warzone and everything like that, but once they get into the game, they don't stick around once they see what's going on under the hood. If a game that's losing that many players can still be #6 on Steam, that likely means that consoles having the exact same thing happen, but it doesn't really impact the rankings nearly as bad. And the really annoying part about these numbers is they don't show the whole picture. What's awesome about Steam charts is you can see trends, you can see concurrent players, you can see peak player counts. When we get a post like the one Circana posted, it doesn't paint anything close to the full picture. How many players does COD actually have on Xbox? How many players does Fortnite have on Xbox? When we see random games like Indiana Jones at #6 on PlayStation, well, how close are the Indiana Jones player numbers to something like Roblox, GTA 5, Marvel Rivals, Fortnite, or Call of Duty? Like, give us some perspective here. Like, just putting these out in a list, we don't actually see how many people are actually playing. Now, according to Fortnite.gg, which is a tracking website, Fortnite was averaging 2.3 million daily players during the week that Call of Duty was #1. Now, if this website does indeed track all platforms, which apparently it does from the research I've done, you'd have to split those 2.3 million players across Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Nintendo Switch, all of that stuff, right? Which brings that player count on each platform closer to something like 500,000 players, give or take. So if Call of Duty is somewhere near Fortnite, when we see roughly 100,000 players playing on Steam, that really goes to show that these Steam numbers are very much closer to console than some people think. So seeing a trend like the Steam player base losing 40% of its players means that something very similar must be happening on console as well. So is Call of Duty still popular and have a ton of people playing? Sure, it's Call of Duty, man. It's like one of the biggest games out there. It's so large, everyone knows it, you know. But does that mean that the game is not bleeding players? Absolutely not. Like, Call of Duty is being shown in the same player count realms as like Indiana Jones, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, or whatever it's called, Blatro, and Rocket League. Again, I am no industry expert, but I'm just trying to derive a conclusion based on the information that we have available to us, and it seems like gaming in general is super spread out now. Time was, games like COD and Fortnite were absolutely dominating the gaming space, and they're still pretty big right now, but gaming as a whole has grown a ton, and players are much more spread out compared to what they used to be, and I think that's a good thing. Like, competition is great, even when it's not direct competition like we used to have. Who remembers, you know, Call of Duty versus Battlefield, Call of Duty versus Titanfall, like any other shooter game that would come out. Homefront, the COD killer. Like, if you remember Homefront, you have back problems and knee problems, man. I don't even know where that came up. Like, that just popped into the back of my mind. Like, Homefront, whatever happened to that game, for crying out loud? Regardless, competition, whether it's direct or indirect, is always good in the games industry. And I suppose the point I'm trying to make here is Call of Duty is still struggling in a historic fashion. Notice how they haven't been posting any of those big news stories about how Call of Duty is breaking all sorts of records and dominating the gaming space like they typically do every single year. They did so initially when the game first came out, but mostly what they were talking about was how much Call of Duty propped up Game Pass. It wasn't necessarily so much about how great COD itself was doing, but rather how good Game Pass was doing. As we've covered here on the channel over the course of the past week, Call of Duty has tons of problems and a lot of things that they need to be working on. The player base has grown tired of the manipulation. The core multiplayer is filled with bugs, broken events, players leaving every single game early in a way I have never seen before. Ace mentioned that in his previous video. Like, I've never seen a game where so many people back out all the time, and I'm part of that reason. You know, I'm one of the people out there who, towards the beginning of the game's life cycle, I just told you guys, I'm like, back out of your lobbies, straight up. Like, skill-based matchmaking is so thick in this game, they're trying to screw you over so much. Back out, search for a new game. You typically get into another match in under a minute, and 99% of the time, the new match you get in is going to be a bit better than the one you just left, because the one you just left was algorithmically designed to screw you over as much as humanly possible. It seems like more and more people are picking up on that, and pretty much every single lobby of Black Ops 6 anymore ends up being a 6v2, 6v3. Search and Destroy especially is terrible for that. They don't even backfill people anymore, man. Like, the servers are so bad in COD that people are constantly leaving the match, and they're not even able to fill the lobbies back up for one reason or another. Maybe that's going to take away from our engagement or something like that. I don't know, but it's frustrating that every single game has that problem, but it goes back to not the community, but skill-based matchmaking and Activision's manipulation. People wouldn't be backing out constantly if skill-based matchmaking wasn't such a problem within the COD franchise. To kind of wrap things up here today, guys, I suppose it is nice to have sources like Circana reporting news like this, but why does everything have to be so secretive? Back in the day, we just had the player count proudly displayed on each platform in the main menu, but ever since the colossal flop that was Call of Duty Ghosts, they are too afraid to let the world know exactly how many people are actually playing. They'd rather rely on ranking sites to give out ambiguous stats that don't tell you the whole story and hope that's good enough for people to keep investing in their games. I just hate to see people claiming that COD is doing so well right now when clearly it's the exact opposite. We have not seen Call of Duty in this rough of a spot in a very long time. From top to bottom, Black Ops 6 has a lot of issues right now, man, and especially hurts knowing that this is a Treyarch game. Typically, Treyarch is like the respite from Infinity Ward and all the other bullshit that happens, but not even Treyarch is safe anymore, and if history is any indicator, we are going to need to wait until mid-January before Activision actually says anything and the devs get back to work, but here's to hoping that we get some communication sooner rather than later, and as always, I'll keep you guys posted with all the news, all the updates, all the details, all the everything, so be sure to sub if you guys are new around here. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video here today. Leave your thoughts and feedback on Call of Duty apparently being up good as compared to down bad down there in the comments, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.